I really hope you all doing great and staying absolutely safe as well. Would like to welcome you all to the platform of IAS Origin. And today, again, we are back with a very important trend analysis. And that, of course, is going to be a trend analysis of the past 12 years. When I say 12 years, it means 2013 till 2024. Basically, we are going to be focusing on all the papers of GS paper 1, main CS paper 1 of Civil Services Examination. और उसमें हम लोग थीम्स को डिकोड कर रहे हैं कि किस तरह के क्वेश्चंस पूछे गए हैं. कल हमारा पहला सेशन था जहाँ पे हमने आर्ट एंड कल्चर की बात की. आर्ट एंड कल्चर में कितने क्वेश्चन आते हैं, कितने मार्क्स के आते हैं, कहाँ से आते हैं, कौन सी थीम्स बहुत रिपीटेड हैं, उनको हमने डिकोड किया. अगर आपने वो सेशन नहीं देखा तो मेक श्योर यू वॉच दैट सेशन. उसमें हमने कहीं ना कहीं ये बात की थी कि कैसे चोलास के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा फोकस है. साउथ इंडिया की जो टेम्पल कंस्ट्रक्शन है, जो कल्चर है, उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा फोकस है. एंड वी डिड टॉक अबाउट दैट properly. I did show you the type of the questions which are coming. So today again on the same lines we are going to be having this very session, and today our target is on the history part. So before I start the session, I would like to tell you that if you have a look at this GS paper 1 of any year you pick, more or less the thing is going to be very much similar. So you will realize what I am trying to just tell you. You pick the paper and you realize that this Indian art and culture and history portion, it is going to give you around 75 marks in total. All right, so maybe 5-10 marks more in art and culture, maybe 5-10 marks more in this history portion. So that is how the weightage is. Society portion gives you 100 marks, geography, India and world ki geography give you around 75 marks. So all in all, this is what the GS paper 1 is, that total give you 250 marks. इसकी जो टोटल वेटेज है GS1 की, that is 250 marks, and that is how the breakup is like. So the latest example is your 2024 का paper, which you must have seen, and of course we'll be analyzing today as well. So yesterday we did talk about this component of art and culture, from which around 2 to 3 questions we expect every year, and today we are going to be having a proper discussion on the history portion. Now when I say history portion, let me tell you one thing: it's not a homogeneous portion at all. It's a very it's a very comprehensive portion. You have so many themes covered in that, so that's why we need to have a proper analysis on that. We have important personalities pe questions. You'll be having question on Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, or even British viceroys, Lord Curzon, Lord Dalhousie. You also end up getting questions on various important events from the Indian freedom struggle, like we had this Royal Navy ki mutiny. That is very much important. Different world wars, but you get the questions because world history is a part of that. You get questions from important movements, mass movements. You get questions from important acts of the British, Government of India Act. You also end up getting questions which are from post-independence India, like Tashkent Agreement pe there was a question, Bhudan movement pe there was a question, Gramdan movement pe there was a question, integration of princely states of post-independence, reorganization of states. So all these become very much important themes, and there are a lot of themes which also have been repeated. For example, we have seen so many times the questions have been asked on Mahatma Gandhi. So direct questions have been asked on Mahatma Gandhi. So of course we cannot end up missing out on that. That certainly is of immense importance. So we have to pay proper attention on these topics, because only if we are focusing precisely, we will end up decoding them precisely and will be doing well in the examination. So I hope now the modus operandi is clear, that how we are going to go about it. I am hopeful, and I hope that the session is absolutely fine. But your voice is low. I think you should check your this thing, the volume of your device, because as far as my mic is concerned, it should be fine. There shouldn't be an issue in there, but I'll still check that. Don't worry. ठीक है, मैं एक बार कर लेता हूँ check. I hope that's okay, Saradhi. Can you please check once now? It should be all right. I'll just check it myself. I think it's okay. It's absolutely fine, but the voice is absolutely fine. I've checked that. Okay. So on this note, let's again go back to the syllabus which is so much sacrosanct for our preparation. उसकी हम लोग बात करते हैं, बहुत important है. When we talk about the syllabus part, when we talk about the Indian heritage and culture part, so we have already discussed that. Got it? And then today our focus is going to be on this. So what all do we have here in history of GS paper 1 mains? We have modern Indian history. We have this freedom struggle, of course, part of the modern history only. Then after independence ki history, that is also very much important. That after India got independence, that history is important. And then of course history of the world. Isme we do have some important topics which we'll be talking about. So that is how it is. And today our focus is on the previous year questions ka analysis. That is what the idea is. Previous year question analysis is what we are going to be doing, and I'm sure that you are going to have a great time in doing this analysis, because this always gives you a lot of clarity. See, the game is of clarity only, and you are bound to have so much clarity on this. Just before I start this, I would like to tell you that tomorrow also we have a session at 12 p.m. like today we are having. So tomorrow we'll be having a discussion on the society ka portion, this society, salient features society and all, because this gives you 100 marks in the GS paper 1, that's important. And then post that we'll be doing geography as well. So I'm sure that is 100% clear. And moreover, you can surely join the Telegram channel also for the PDF, because I'll be uploading the PDF on the Telegram channel itself. So in case you have not joined the Telegram channel, do join the Telegram channel of IAS Origin. Now, before I even proceed with the session of the analysis, I would like to inform you that we are having a free test series, free mains ki test series we are having. It is for the people who are writing mains this year, and for the first 50 students, it is all free of cost. So you can find the link in the description. Description जो है वीडियो की, वहाँ पे you'll be finding the link, and also there you will be finding the link for the free workshop which we hold on Sunday, that is 12 to 3 p.m. So Sunday workshop का भी link you will be finding there. So make sure you go there and you enroll for that also. So I am very much sure about one thing, that you are going to have a great time in this overall analysis, and you are going to learn something very much positive. I'll tell you one thing, why is it so much important to do the analysis of the previous year questions? That's very much important exercise. But why in the first place is it so much important? Previous year question analysis is important because it will give you an idea that what all type of the questions are coming from that particular subject, from the particular topic, and what all can we expect in the future as well. So this is how we look at it. This is why it is important. Please keep this very thing in your mind. क्यों important है? That question comes to your mind. So this is why it is important. So we have to understand that properly, diligently. ठीक है जी? So I hope this point is 100% clear now. All right. So having said that, now I'll be starting with the analysis. So firstly, let's pick this part, modern Indian history, freedom struggle. Then we'll talk about the post-independence and all that. So let's see that what all type of questions. So if you see the syllabus, it says modern Indian history. Got it? So from the middle of 18th century, so like you can say 1750 onwards, they are trying to ask. ठीक है? Until present. So now this is very much important. Until the present, they are asking. This means post-Indian independence is very much important. Significant, important events, important personalities, and important issues. This is what you have to focus. So personalities ka will be focusing, whatever questions are there. Events ka will be focusing, and issues ka will be focusing, and we'll have a good, I would say, good idea that what all type of questions are coming. And then we have various stages of the freedom struggle, who are contributing in the freedom struggle from different part of the countries. We are supposed to know that, freedom struggle is important. So mind you, these are some of the most important aspects we are supposed to be keeping in our minds. All of you have to understand that. Clear? So I'm very much hopeful that this is not a thing which is very much difficult for you. Then of course we'll be talking about the post-independence part, and we'll be talking about world history as well. So this is how we know. So I hope this idea is clear, and you all know that if you combine all that, this history part and this culture part as well. So Indian heritage and culture say, what are we looking at? we are looking at 75 marks in total. Again, I'm telling you, geography se we're looking at 75 marks again in total. And society se we are looking at 100 marks. So this is something we have to be very much clear about. Okay, so I hope this idea is clear. Study of geography, 100 from society. Surely. Now, on this very note, we'll be starting with the session. Now, first of all, we'll be focusing on this personality wala aspect, that what all are the personality which are being focused upon. Now, when you look at this aspect today, we have observed that Mahatma Gandhi is the most important theme here. Most important theme over here. Let me tell you one thing. Mahatma Gandhi. So many times we have seen questions being asked on the Mahatma Gandhi. Recently, we also saw questions on Rabindranath Tagore. Then questions have been asked on Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad pe question has been there. And the role of Indian women in freedom movement. So this question has also been asked. So when we talk about the Indian personalities, all the Indian personalities who have in a way contributed to the freedom struggle, we have seen questions pertaining to them. On top of that, when we talk about the British, for example, Lord Curzon, Lord Dalhousie. So basically, these are the viceroys or important governor general. So now you should be, preparing accordingly. For example, you should be preparing some important like Lytton, you should be preparing. Ripon, you should be preparing. You should be preparing William Bentinck as well. Then you should be preparing Cornwallis for this year. Why Cornwallis for this year? Because you must have heard about the Cornwallis Code, and then later you know about the IPC and then CRPC and all that. So recently we saw Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita ye sara jo overhaul kiya hai. So that's why Cornwallis again becomes very much instrumental. So you should read about Cornwallis for this year. It's going to be important. लिट्टन और रिपन का ये है कि लिट्टन ने कुछ रिप्रेसिव पॉलिसीज इंट्रोड्यूस की, रिपन ने उसको हटाया. रिपन डिड make sure that let's change them. So that's why you should read about Ripon as well. I'll just show you the type of the question which have been asked. For example, they did ask question like this. I hope this question is visible. Let me just tell you. So this very question that was asked back in 2013, ki in many ways Lord Dalhousie was the founder of the modern India. So you have to elaborate on this. All right. So you have to write that why exactly was he the founder of modern India, all that. So similarly, we can expect what? We can expect questions on, as I've told you, William Bentinck, important hai. Ripon is important, certainly, regarding census or factory act. So many things are there. You should read about them. And on top of that, you should be, understanding a very basic aspect about other viceroys as well. Like I've already told you about the Cornwallis, certainly important. Even Warren Hastings to a great extent is important, but you should be preparing at least these properly. So do prepare them for this year mains because they can be of immense help, and we have seen the questions being asked in the past. And talking of the Indian personalities, you have got questions like what was the difference between Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore in their approach towards education, nationalism. So that was a question around 2023 mein it was asked. Last year it was asked. And this was not a very easy question, let me tell you, because a lot of people know about Mahatma Gandhi's ideology, but not many know about Rabindranath Tagore ideology. So you have to be preparing accordingly about, Mahatma Gandhi versus Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, the difference in the opinion, I would say, or different in how they perceived Indian freedom struggle should be. So वो perception पे जो question बनता है, that is of immense help. That is very much important. So you have to read about that. And of course, contribution of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, pre and post independence. So ये काफी important था that you have to focus on the pre and post. So 1947 से पहले and बाद का दोनों you had to know. So this has also been asked in the previous year papers. So in such questions, I know it's not going to be very much easy. You have to have a proper knowledge of that. So what I'll suggest you is that make sure you have a good idea about these important personalities. Not only these, you know, the women who have been a part of freedom struggle, like Aruna Asaf Ali, you should read about that. Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, then you have Sarojini Naidu, Sucheta Kriplani. You should have a basic idea, like Annie Besant, the first women to be the president of the Congress. You should read about them. Also try to read about the personalities who were not Indian, but they did help in the formation of Congress. Got it? A.O. Hume is there. Then later on, Wedderburn was there, Cotton was there. So there are some other personalities as well. Because see, now technically there is no length and breadth that where this important personality thing can go. But all in all, you should have a basic idea that at least you have a good deal of grip over these personalities which I have written on the screens. British में important viceroys हो गए, and Indian में Mahatma Gandhi पे there's a very high chance that the question will be repeated. So you should have a basic idea about this personality. Rabindranath Tagore, of course, is important. Subhash Chandra Bose. For example, I'll tell you something. You should read about Lala Lajpat Rai as well. Very important personality. ठीक है. So various extremist leaders, like we say Lal Bal Pal. So उसमें Lala Lajpat Rai, you know, stands out. You should read about Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Very influential personality. His role in the freedom struggle, you know, about his Home Rule League, or even before that, whatever he has done, that is quite significant. So try to have a broad understanding about various personalities. I hope that idea is clear. What I am trying to tell you is that based on the previous year questions, how can we decode that what can be there in this year's paper? As simple as that. So this is what is being done. So for all those who are not even writing mains this year, this video can be very much important, because for the next years, you can be preparing these topics well. Got it? Chali. Moving ahead, then we have various significant events. For example, in 2014, this Royal Naval Mutiny, which took place in Bombay and, you know, Kolkata as well, mainly, that naval ratings, you know, they did end up doing mutiny. It was kind of a revolt against the British. Now, what makes this so much important? RIN mutiny, if I talk about, it is very much important because it is said to be the last nail in the coffin of the British. When we talk about the RIN mutiny, always remember that once it was done, so British knew that it's going to be very much tough for us to be surviving in the country. So it was around Feb 1946. We saw this took place, and it was a very important event. So you should be knowing that there are various such events. For example, what comes to my mind is different uh, you know events like that. For example, Chittagong Armory raid. Chittagong Armory raid, which was done by Surya Sen. Okay, so though it was a different kind of activity, but that is also an important event. Got it? So like different battles, important, like third battle of Panipat 2014, there was a question on that. We have uprising of 1857. So in 2016, 2019, we have seen the question. So of course, this revolt of 1857 is very much important, no doubt about it. You should read it from different dimensions. Very important it is. We had various famines in colonial India. Why they were caused? What were the actions taken? You should read about that. So these are the topics you also prepare from the prelims point of view, right? Prelims point of view se bhi, we always prepare these topics. So what's the harm in preparing them properly? So various events, uh, uh, like I'll tell you something. White mutiny. So white mutiny, a lot of people don't read about that. You know, around 1858, 59 May, the European soldiers themselves, they were against the British rule. There was a transition from East India Company to British Crown. So that becomes quite important. You should read about Vellore mutiny. Vellore ki mutiny. So not much talked about, but around 1806, it was a very important event of Tamil Nadu. You should read about that. Important events when we talk about, so there are a lot of marches during the time of Salt Satyagraha. Everybody knows about Dandi March, but there was a march done in the Vedaranyam, this Tamil Nadu area, also by C. Rajgopalchari. K. Kalappan participated in Kerala. You should read about them. So wherever any important event is there, at least have that in your passive memory, so that if a question is there, you should be in a position to write at least 200 words on that. ठीक है? So वो you can easily write, because थोड़ा बहुत intro लिखोगे, body बनाओगे, conclusion करोगे, that absolutely will be done by you. There's no it's not a very tough job for you to be doing. So you easily can do that. It is just that you have to have a basic level of clarity that okay, these questions have been asked. So I am writing the years also so that you know that these are the kind of the questions which have been asked, like 1857 पे two times we have seen. Famines पे they have asked the question. They can also ask questions on various important committees, you know, based on like famines pe they had committees. Then they did form a lot of committees on education in India. Wood Dispatch was there, Hunter Commission was there, so many committees were there. So you should have a proper, you know, bare minimum idea you have to have on all these aspects, because these are the ones which are going to be super important for you, mind you. So you have to understand very much precisely that you how you have to be dealing with this. Is that clear? So I am hopeful that you are at least able to pick these things up because they are super important. Okay. So talking of that, now we have, you know, from the freedom struggle only, very much important acts by the British. So, you know, when we talk about this thing, let me tell you one aspect, a very important aspect in fact. So how do we decode this part? Freedom struggle say we have various important policies by the British. Like economic policy of the British pay, we had a question in 2014. The next year we had a question on Government of India Act 1935. You can have questions on Government of India Act of 1919, or we had this, you know, Morley Minto 1909 के reforms. They are important. Like it was Montagu-Chelmsford reforms of 1919. They are certainly important. You should have some idea about the Charter Acts. Not all are important, like 1813 का Charter Act, 1833 का Charter Act, 1853 का Charter Act. You should be having a brief idea about them. Do read about Regulating Act. Do read about Regulating Act of 1773. What was the relevance? Why it came in the first place? You should know about it. Getting it? So when we talk about the important policies in the Act, you should have a basic idea on the how the education was introduced in India, famine related things, what they did, you know, in India, McDonald Commission and all that, you know, why they came in the first place. All these kind of things you have to know. So if Government of India Act 1935 has been asked, you can have direct questions on the Charter Act, on the Regulating Act, on the Government of India Act 1919, on the Act of 1909, and you know, on the aspects of the education family. So basically all the policies and the acts of colonial government in India, they should be very much clear. Now why is Government of India Act so much important, especially 1935? Because when the Constitution of India was being framed, a lot of inspiration was taken from this act as well. So it acted as a, you know, benchmark when the Constitution Assembly was writing the Constitution. Though we took a lot of inspiration from outside, but Government of India Act 1935 was already there in India, and we did take a lot of inspiration from this. So you should have an idea about it. So all in all, what is more important is that we have to have a basic level of clarity that okay, what all are the British. So like, I'll tell you something. When you read about this thing, always keep in mind about the policies like of the British, which were focusing on the socio-religious or social reform. For example, abolition of sati, legalizing of widow remarriage, all these kind of things you have to keep in your mind. So social angle, political angle, you should know about that. Pre-Congress organizations, do read about them. So see, modern Indian history is very much vast. I'm not denying that fact. लेकिन आपको थोड़ा सा ध्यान से इसको करना पड़ेगा. So these are important. Mark them as important on this basis. Clear? So you'll be getting the PDF. Don't worry about that. Here, just focus on the understanding aspect. You have to be understanding this point precisely. Clear? Now, having said that, next on the line is very much important and would be, you know, talking about that. So we had various movements taking place in India. They may be political, they may be social. So would like to talk about that as well. For example, we talk about the Indian Renaissance in 19th century. So what precisely is that? That is related to social religious movement only. So we had a question in 2019. Then again we had a question in 2021 based on this. That's quite important. So यहाँ पे क्या important है? यहाँ पे it's very much important that we certainly keep this in our mind that we have to read about social religious movement. So now Young Bengal movement was asked, Brahma Samaj was asked. Now you can have a question on Arya Samaj. You can also have question on Prarthana Samaj. You can have question on Satyashodak Samaj of Jyotiba Phule. Malab, there are so many, other, you can have question on Ramakrishna Mission. Various, we have social religious movements in India. So all in all, what is important over here is that we have got various social religious movements going on in India, especially in the 19th century. 19th century means from 1800 to 1900, we had so many social religious reform movements. So you should also know the reason for that. Ki bhai, why in the first place we had that? That's quite important, right? Why in the first place we had all these social religious movements going on in India? So you are supposed to be understanding this aspect, and you're supposed to be, knowing about the reasons, and you also tell about various reformers, who were involved and what precisely was their role. You should have an idea about it, because see, ultimately whenever a question comes, they are going to check all those things. So you focus on the causes, you focus on various reformers, have some basic idea about them, and you focus on the impact they did cause on the society, what all were the positive impacts they came up with. And see, ultimately, what were they focusing upon? They were against the social dogmas, and on top of that they are focusing on what? Education. They're focusing on what? Women empowerment. All these kind of things they're focusing on. So when we talk about the movement, especially on the social front, you should be understanding that. In fact, uh, some orthodox section of the society, they were certainly not happy with these movements as well. Why? Because they thought that they are trying to pollute the religion. A lot of people did think this way as well. So this actually is a point we are supposed to be very much clear about. So I hope this idea is understandable to you. समझ आ रहा है बेटे? So we are trying to do what? We are trying to literally decode that what all has been asked and what all can be asked in the future papers. I'm telling you with the year. So from the past 4-5 years, we have seen the questions coming from this aspect, which is very much clear. Got it? And then when we talk about the movements only, from the political front against the British rule, so they are the movements against the British. For example, NCM, that is against by the Gandhiji, that was Civil Disobedience Movement, CDM. Recently, the last year itself, we had a question on the Quit India movement as well. Got it? So you should read about Swadeshi as well. Swadeshi movement will automatically become important for us. 1905 to 1908, it was a cradle of Indian nationalism, as we call it. Then amongst that, you should have a basic idea about, Champaran, Ahmedabad, Kheda. Back in 1917, 1918, Gandhiji was involved. So these were localized, but what was the significance of that? You should read about home rule leagues. Home rule leagues, which were there very much prominent around 1916 by Annie Besant and Bal Gangadhar Tilak. You should know about that. You should know about the Rowlatt Satyagraha. So when we talk about the movements, though NCM, CDM and Quit India movement are the most prominent one which have been asked. So there's a high chance that they may not repeat this thing. They may ask you about the Swadeshi movement, or they may ask you about the home rule leagues, or they may ask you about the Champaran, Ahmedabad, Kheda. What my idea is that we have to do the predictive analysis that okay, this has been asked and this can be asked in future. As simple as that. समझ आ रहा है? So we are supposed to have a basic level of understanding, and see that certainly will go a long way, I can assure you. वो बहुत help करेगी आपको. If you certainly can do that predictive analysis. So that is what we are doing. It's a very basic thing. So we have seen all the past papers and accordingly we are doing that. Now let me tell you one thing, very important point we have to look into, and that is that in the past years we have also seen some miscellaneous themes. You understand? So various themes are there which are of course from modern Indian history, but there are some miscellaneous themes. So we are certainly going to be talking on that as well. That how precisely can we understand that, how precisely we can be in a position to answer that precisely. So I'll be coming up with that as well. So whenever we talk about this particular point, have a look at these questions, these themes, like miscellaneous, like tribal response to the British oppression. This was asked back in 2023. Very important. This theme is. I'll be showing you the question as well in some time. The role of the moderates. So moderate phase is very much important around 1885 to 1905. The question has been asked on that, so that's important. Ideological stance. So this particular thing, I'll just show you. This was not very much expected, and that was asked back in 2020. uh, I'll just show you. This was asked back in 2020 paper, that since the decade of 1920s, the national movement acquired various ideological strands and thereby expanded its social base. Discuss. So this precisely was, I would say, a very analytical kind of the questions, and for these kind of the questions you do require some depth. So these are not the kind of the questions which we matlab, can say that you will be finding as such in a book. You have to apply some brains, only then you are going to be answering this question. So you have to interlink a few topics. So whenever we are talking of this particular thing, what we observe now in 1920s, what is happening, you should firstly understand that from 1920 to 22, so we had NCM going on. But after NCM, what? So after NCM, we are seeing Gaya session happened, and there Swarajist party is coming up. They are contesting elections, they are entering the councils. So that is one thing. And then on other side, we also have the emergence of HSRA. Pehle HRA bani thi, HSRA, that is the kind of the nationalism, I will say, revolutionary activities have increased. That is very much important. So you have to focus upon that revolutionary activities as well. Now that is one aspect. So some people are following Gandhian ideology, some people are following the revolutionaries, very important. And we also see rise of socialism to a great extent. So all these ideologies are there, and ultimately we have to understand that this has given a lot of massive mass ways to the freedom struggle which we had in India. So you have to understand this thing. So after the withdrawal of the NCM, not only Gandhiji's ideology was there, but other than Gandhiji's ideology, we had other ideologies coexisting. Revolutionaries were there, they were very much active, attracting a lot of young people. We had even the farmers being a part of the freedom struggle now to a great extent, and socialist ideology was definitely there. So we are supposed to be understanding this point very much precisely. So communism, socialism, ये भी बहुत strong थी, left wing जो हम कहते हैं. So ये एक बहुत important चीज है. So this was about it. Anyways, railways introductions impact 2023 में it was asked. British Indian Army, why it was successful. There was a question on that as well. So what is more important is that we are supposed to be understanding that whenever a question like this is coming, how in the first place are we supposed to answer that? So if you have proper clarity, if you have got good level of understanding on various themes, I can assure you that you will be able to answer that. It is ultimately the test of not just your knowledge, but the test of how well you are able to articulate an answer in the examination hall, how well you can think. That is what they are basically checking. That is what the examination is all about. So let me just show you this question, this miscellaneous theme जो मैंने रखा है from the 2023 paper. This is again from the 2023 का paper. Have a look at this question. How did the colonial rule affect the tribals in India, and what was the tribal response to the colonial oppression? So it's a two-way question. One part of the question is about how colonial rule affected tribals. Second part is about what was the tribal response. So a lot of people do create this, do commit this mistake that they will be answering just one part, but you're not supposed to do that. This is part number one, and this is part number two. So you are supposed to have a proper clarity on this point. ये समझ आया कि नहीं आया? Very interesting this is. So you have to have a proper clarity that how in the first place you are in the position to answer this very question precisely, because that in a way is going to be of immense importance. See, you should know that what is colonial rule doing. For tribals, three things are very much important: jal, jangal, zameen, their water, their land, and their forest. So if you're taking them away from them, or you are creating some legislations which is restrictive for them, they will surely be not happy. Okay, so then tribal rose and various revolts. So basically it was a question of various tribal revolts. We had various tribal revolts all across the country. So you just have to tell about that. So on the east coast we had the tribals, and then in the northeast side we did have that. So if British are making a road, that is also a problem for them. If British is getting wood from the forest, that is also a problem for the tribals. So it was a question on the tribals' rights. You know, what is good and bad for the tribals. That is how it is. Clear? Okay. So now coming ahead, post independence की जो theme है, that is also of immense importance. So let me just decode that also for you. So what all are the kind of the questions we have seen from this very theme being asked. So when you pick this very theme, you can have a look on the screens. That is how the theme looks like. So in the 2013, we had so many questions being asked from this theme. Post independence India, as we call it. So it is certainly an important theme. I'll be showing you the questions as well. Don't worry about that. But यहाँ पे ध्यान से देखो, like emergence of the Bangladesh liberations we see. So when we talk about the Bangladesh liberation, now 1971-72 is a very crucial year in that. So you should be knowing about that. Then if you read about that, that is important. In 2013, we also had the question on Tashkent Agreement. So it was a question like this, that analyze the circumstance led to the Tashkent Agreement 1966. Since the Tashkent Agreement has been asked, which certainly is very much important, so you should be having a proper idea about the Shimla Agreement also, है ना? Because 1970 की हम जब बात करते हैं, then we are having the Shimla Agreement, which is of immense importance. So since Tashkent Agreement has been asked explicitly, and since then we don't have any specific question on these agreements. So let me tell you one thing, that Shimla Agreement can be of immense importance. So remember that you can have a question on Shimla Agreement. It was in news as well. So Shimla Agreement pe you can have a question that was from the 1972 after the Bangladesh Liberation War. That is important. Then we talk about the land reforms. We talk about the land reforms in India. In that league only, Bhudan and Gramdan movement, very important. What was the role of Acharya Vinoba Bhave? Very much important. Then integration of the princely states post 1947. Post 1947, it's a very important process. What was the role of Sardar Patel? We should know about that. Very important. And then reorganization of states. We had a question in 2022. This question basically was based on a very important aspect of various committees like we have got. So you should have an idea about the how precisely it was done and how efficiently it was done. We should have a basic level of clarity on that. So it's again a important aspect we are supposed to be understanding. Again, I would like to emphasize on one thing only, that it is all about how you think in the examination hall. That is going to play a very important role. Why? Because ultimately, whenever we are talking of any question for that matter, the questions are going to be not direct. They are going to be kind of the questions which you have to understand first and then answer. So if you don't have that level of understanding, unfortunately you're not going to be able to answer effectively. So remember this thing. For example, I'll just show you a question that was from this 2022 reorganization of states ka question hai. So have a look at this question, how beautifully articulated this is. The political administrative reorganization of states and territories have been a continuous ongoing process since mid of 19th century. So now you have to discuss with examples. You have to tell that how since mid of 19th century it is happening. So if they have written mid of 19th century, what does that mean? So mid of 19th century, if they have written, that is 1850s onward it is being happening. It is happening since 1850s. And what are we talking about? The political administrative reorganization of states. So how it is happening? So that is what makes it challenging. Getting it? ये challenging क्यों है question? Because they are asking me to 19th century. So you have to pick from the pre-British rule till post-British. So even in the Maulana Azad question also we observe that they are asking question about what? His role pre and post-independence both. So that is how it is. So you have to be very much clear in this regards, that how in the first place are we going to be answering this thing. For example, if we talk about the pre-independence India, I'll just tell you a basic example of that. For example, when we talk about Battle of Buxar. So Battle of Buxar के बाद भी we are seeing some changes, and even in the 1850s, the British rule, when we talk about, so they did create this British provinces, and later on what we have seen, later on we have seen the partition of Bengal. That is something you have to quote. So there are a lot of examples which have to be quoted, and only then you will be in a position to answer this question. Trust me, it is matlab, not that easy question, but yeah, you should understand the relevance of it, and you should understand that in what way are they basically asking. So that is very much important. Clear? So in a way, how subsidiary alliance and they're putting doctrine of lapse to use, all these kind of things, they are certainly very much important, because in a way, this can be of immense value. Clear? So that's what I'm trying to tell you, that especially make sure that post independence India have to be prepared properly. And the best part is, from 2014 to 2020 we had no question from the post independence India. So 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 7 years के लिए question नहीं था. 2021 में question was there, 2020 में question was there, 23 में नहीं था, 24 में नहीं था. Again, this year we can expect a question. So not all themes are repeated every year, but this does not mean that we end up skipping the themes. We have to do all the themes precisely. That is important. Now, having said that, moving ahead of this, let's talk of the world history as well. World history की बेटे जब मैं बात करता हूँ, so we do talk about a very important point. But before that, let me just show you one thing. अब आप देखो, इसी क्वेश्चन में we had ताशकंद एग्रीमेंट, उससे पहले we had जय जवान जय किसान, this slogan. So that is back from 2013. So 2013 say they're asking you such kind of the questions that what is the relevance and significance of that. So Shastri ji gave that, the former Prime Minister of India, and Jai Jawan basically relates to the farmers, Jai Jawan relates to the Sipahis, the soldiers, Jai Kisan to the farmers. So you have to know about this aspect. Getting it? So anyways, now moving to the world history, we have got questions in 2013, and later also we have got questions. So there is a very much repeated theme which I have highlighted as well, world wars. So make sure you prepare World War I and World War II very much properly. So you just have to focus on their causes, what caused them, and basically post-war, what happened. Like World War I, where we had Treaty of Versailles, you should know about that. That's going to be important. So Industrial Revolution, again, here also, causes you should know, and its impact also, especially related to the imperialism and colonialism. You should know that how it contributed to the colonialism. Then you should read about American and French Revolution, very much important topics these are. So you should have a basic idea on American independence and French Revolution, that how they did remove the despots, or they did remove the so-called absolute rulers from France. New economic policy पे we had a question in 2014, very important. This is Great Depression जो था US से start होकर पूरी दुनिया में फैला, ये भी question था. American Revolution पे again we had a question in 2013. So you can have a look that we are having questions on American Revolution being repeated, Industrial Revolution is being repeated, World Wars is being repeated, and even African nationalism is being repeated. So the kind of the themes, they will keep on revolving here. You will have around one question every year from the world history most of the time. So you should be at least in a position to know that how in the first place you're going to be answering that. Clear? So now one thing is very much clear, that you may or may not have a question on the post-independence India, but you will definitely have a question on world history. You will have question on modern history, of course, and ancient medieval के questions are there, like Vedic age we have the questions, but mostly we club it under the art and culture aspect only. Though I would say that they are question on history only. Rig Veda say question, Rig Vedic societies they're asking the questions, so you have to read it from the history books only, but people do end up putting it under the art and culture ki theme. That is absolutely fine. What matters is we have to know about those topics, and we should be in a position to answer those. Yeah. So I hope now the idea is very much clear to you guys, that this 75 marks ka portion, now we have covered the analysis. Yesterday and today's class yesterday we did art and culture, today we did history. Tomorrow at 12 p.m. live, we are going to be doing the society, which gives you 100 marks. So that's the maximum weightage we have of any one theme in the GS paper 1, that is of society. And on the Friday, we'll be doing geography. So this week a target was GS paper 1, which we are going to be successfully completing. Next week we'll be doing GS paper 2 and then GS paper 3. I hope these sessions are doing a lot of value addition to your preparation. That is most important thing of all, because ultimately when we talk about the value addition, that does not mean that we are going to spoon feed you anything. That basically means that you should be in a position to at least understand the nitty-gritties which are involved. You'll be getting the PDF over here on the IAS Origin, this Telegram channel. Make sure you join that. You can scan the QR code, or you can even search that. You'll be easily able to get that. So that's me, Akash and Dev, and I hope that this session has again added a lot of value to your preparation. UPSC mains pattern, please explain. I'll surely do that. Clear? Any other doubt? So when we talk about the UPSC Civil Services Examination mains, we have got a essay paper, then we have got GS paper 1, then we have got GS paper 2, then we have got GS paper 3, and then we have got GS paper 4. Okay, so these are the papers. Then of course we have a paper on English and one any Indian language, but they are both qualifying. Okay, so marks are not counted. Then we have optional paper 1, then we have again optional ka paper 2. So these are the papers you have to sit in when you go to the paper. Is that clear? So this is how the pattern looks like. Manothu. Any doubts? Very good. Very clear. So you have to basically properly prepare these GS papers. So technically GS paper 1 is 250 marks. This is also 250 marks. This is 250 marks, and this is also 250 marks. Any doubts still here? In case you guys have, you can tell me. So basically we are focusing on the aspect precisely as you can see over here. कोई डाउट है तो प्लीज मुझे बता देना. In case there is any doubt, you can. But in each mains ka GS paper, you will have 20 questions only. First 10 questions are 10 markers, then we have 15 markers questions. Okay, so this is precisely the point. See, all in all, you just have to understand one thing, that 1000 marks are from the GS, that is 215 to 4000. And then of course we have to write 2 essays, 250 marks uske hain, and then we have qualifying papers, so I'm not counting them. So precisely optional also gives you 500 marks. So that is how the mains paper looks like. And what I personally think is that if you have good grip over GS, it can surely help you secure good marks in the mains, because ultimately that is the game changer. So that certainly helps you a lot. So make sure you are focusing properly on GS, and optional to chalo you pick based on your strengths and the weaknesses. But GS is the big game changer, so we have to be focusing a lot on that. Clear? Chale. So thank you so much. You'll be getting the PDF on the Telegram channel, as you can see over here. And that's it from my side. I hope you have a great day. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.